Hello creatives! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be illustrating the next zodiac in the series. It's going to be Cancer. Cancer is the crab, or it's known as the crab, and it is a water sign. For this one we're going to start with a sphere. In the sphere I just chose a nice blue color because of the water symbol. And right now I'm creating the symbol for Cancer. So right now we're just using a whole bunch of spheres, circles, and lines. And with that, I already chose my color scheme. I'm sorry, for some reason I cannot get my CC libraries to record, but bear with me. I decided to do a really nice detail for the back of the crab. To make this believable, I'm just going to create some shadows and highlights for the little eyes. And it's always good to have a color scheme picked out before you start. So for this, it's going to be a lot of blues, some yellows for some highlight, and even a little bit of purples in there for the background. Because this reminded me of a yin-yang symbol, I decided to utilize the moon and the sun because they're yin and yang. And I'm going to also create shadows by duplicating the symbol and making shadows so it pops out a bit more. I just utilized the rounded rectangle tool to create the arms of the crab and duplicated that once again and shrunk it down to make the joints. And I'm just fine-tuning my colors here and also applying freeform gradients. I really do enjoy this feature because it allows the gradients to be more flexible. And I duplicated the back of the crab, the main shape, and created a glow for the background by just utilizing the outer glow feature. And now I'm creating the joints by just duplicating that one shape from the upper arms there, the little joints. And I'm just copying and pasting Control C, Control V, or if you're on a Mac, it's Command C, Command V. And I'm extending and duplicating all of these shapes and putting them into place. Generally, you don't want to make the shapes disproportionate like that, but it works really well with this. So I'm just getting those all into place. And I did have this already pre-created, as in I did sketch this out in my sketchbook. And I have a whole bunch of details that I'm going to be putting in here, because the more details, the better it's going to look. So now I'm just creating the feet. Crabs usually have like these little claw feet. So I just created that out of a formed oval that I created the end into a point just by toggling those handles using the Pathfinder to unite that and a circle. And then I'm just duplicating that and resizing and placing them at the end of each leg. Let's go ahead and move on to the claws. The claws, I started with the same shape from the arm. As you saw, I duplicated it. And then I'm reforming it using the pen tool and the direct white selection tool to form it more into a claw shape. And again, applying my freeform gradient with my before chosen color scheme, as you can see right there in the swatches panel. And I'm going to just apply those freeform gradients to every single aspect of this little crab. For the detailing on all of the limbs, I decided that I'm going to just duplicate that shape, switch the fill color to the stroke color, resize it, and duplicate that smaller and smaller so it creates a pattern. So I'm going to be refilling all of these limbs with a freeform gradient that's a little bit flexible. With any illustration, you do want to pick where your light source is coming from first. That way everything has more of a shape and form to it and isn't so flat. If you want to keep your illustration flat, that's totally fine. I prefer mine to be a little bit more three-dimensional. So I'm just tweaking the details and making sure that I get all of those detailed shapes in there. My light source that I chose is from the upper right hand corner that is off the stage, or the artboard, since we are in Illustrator. And I am making sure that all my freeform gradients reflect that light source from the upper right. So now that we've got that side done, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, making sure the freeform gradients reflect that light source. As you can see here, all the light source is coming from the right, and then the darkness is going towards the left. Now, for the rest of these details, I'm just going to be duplicating those shapes once again within the actual limb, and then I'm going to just continue that process, as you can see here. Now, mind you, I did have to stretch some of these shapes out because visually it didn't look quite right while I move along. I decided to then put in the details for the body. I figured it would be a good idea to use more of an Aztec style pattern around the body of the crab because it made it seem to add some more character to our little creature. I also added some nice sweeping pen tool lines to the back of the crab, so it kind of has like this really nice flow, so there's always some movement going into this illustration. Some of them are a little bit stiff, so I am tweaking them along the way. And I decided to add in these little colored spheres onto the back just to kind of like resemble bubbles. And a few of them I am putting in and taking off the stroke. Those are going to serve as our constellation points. So as I move on, I realized that the dark details on the limbs weren't really working because you couldn't tell that they were there. So I decided to lighten up the color and chose the color from the body of the crab as the stroke color for the details. And it made the legs and the limbs pop a little bit more. So I thought that was a better choice than the dark color. This pattern gave me a little bit of trouble along the way. The details weren't the same all the way around. The body of the crab isn't the same all the way around. It's not symmetrical because, well, in real life, crabs are not fully symmetrical. So I had to tweak this quite a bit using the select tool and the direct selection tool. Going all the way around the body, making sure there's semi-even spacing in between everything, and making sure that it's all lined up and nothing is sticking over the edge. So that took quite a bit of time. I was able to manage it in the end, and this was the most time-consuming portion of it. Anytime you put in a whole bunch of details, it's going to take up a lot of time. Now, I did take the pen tool and connect all the constellation points, and then I added an inner glow and an outer glow to that so that the constellation shows that it's shining. And then I took the sphere tool and just created a whole bunch of bubbles because crabs live in the ocean. So I figured that would be a really cute feature to put bubbles all around him. And the highlight on those bubbles I didn't really like when at first, so I changed the color of those. And then here's a cute little animation of it. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thank you for watching. Subscribe, and I will see you soon, creatives.